Hey guys, and welcome to the breakdown of handstands. So there's a lot that can go into this video, but I'm going to try and make it short and sweet and go over the key concepts. So with handstands, oftentimes people come into my class and be like, I want to learn handstand. How can I learn a handstand? And my first response is always, well, can you hold Bakasana? Can you hold your crow pose? Are you strong enough to do that yet? So before we even get started in this video, if you can't hold crow pose, I want you to hold off on this video until you get that strength, at least 30 seconds in your crow pose, and then come back to this video. For those of you that can hold crow pose, let's talk about handstands. So repetition is key. You're not going to just get a handstand out of the middle of nowhere. Practice, 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 and you're going to fail way more times than you succeed in this. And guess what? That's the beauty of it. So, as I was saying with crow pose, you need to be able to hold that in order to work on your handstand. For handstands, you need to be able to hold your handstand up against a wall before you can start developing that coordination of holding your handstand in the center of your mat. So let's talk about different techniques of training the muscles to handstand. So you're going to make it a lot easier on the body if you keep your feet separate. If you keep your feet straight and feet together, it's going to be a lot more weight for you to lift up, right? Hug those knees in, keep your feet separate. I want you to place your back up against the wall. Bring your hands down to the ground. Take a nice big bend, and go ahead, tap the feet, and come back down. Tap the feet, come back down, and repeat that as many times as you can. Again, tapping the feet on the wall, staying nice and closed, and holding that handstand. Once you're upside down, inverted, you can keep your knees bent, but go ahead and try and hold it for about 30 seconds, maybe even a minute. So once that starts to feel good, you're like, okay, I can hold my handstand up against the wall. I can do it for 30 seconds. Alyssa said I can move on. All right, let's move you on. So you're going to come now to the center of your mat. And make sure you're able to hold your handstand up against the wall with straight legs as well, because that's going to also be big into your handstands and your lower abs, developing those for your handstands. So come to the center of your mat and bring your hands all the way down to the ground. Also for handstands, if you can't touch your toes, you shouldn't be working on handstands. You need your technique and your proper body alignment to be where it needs to be before you just start practicing a handstand. Don't let your ego get way ahead of itself. Come back into your practice. Work on being able to touch your toes. So if you can, place your hands nice and firmly down on the ground. With handstands, you want to be able to press up and out of the shoulders. You don't want to be sinking into your shoulders when you're in your handstand, pressing up and out. Now, there are a couple different ways you can get into a handstand. What I have felt works best for me is actually training myself until I can get a handstand. I didn't start handstands by kicking up and trying to find a balance. In my personal opinion, if you're constantly kicking up, you're not having any control when you're doing this. And handstands is all about coordination and control. So try and move, and it's going to suck, but as slow as possible. So I have a block for you today. Go ahead and place that block in the center of your feet. Now, this is going to be a handstand drill. This is going to develop your low abs, so you're going to be able to hold that handstand. And remember, you're engaging your shoulders the whole time. Hands come down. Stack your shoulders directly over your wrist bones. You're not all the way out here. Hands aren't touching. You're stacking your joints. Now, notice, I'm going to come up on my tiptoes. I'm still squeezing that block. I'm going to lean forward until I feel comfortable enough to float the feet off. I want you to hold this position for as long as you possibly can until you need to come back down. And you're going to repeat that, coming up lifting the toes and coming back down. And the reason I say that that is so important is because think about it. If you're coming into your handstand, and if you're just kicking up and coming back down, I feel absolutely no muscle engagement. None. It's kind of like, oh, shoot your arrow and hope for the best type of situation. Move slow. Start with those drills. Once those drills feel comfortable, you're going to then remove the block. Feet together, hands down to the ground, same exact thing, come up on the tiptoes. Move nice and slow. Come into your pike, hold it low. Hold, hold, hold. Maybe you can bring your feet to touch your wrist bones and then back out to pike. Simple low movements. My feet aren't even up in the air yet. I'm still developing that strength, that control on the ground. Again, people think that you gotta just get way up there. That's your ego getting way ahead of itself. Once you've mastered balancing on the ground, no blocks, then start to work on your pike ups. And with pike ups, man, they're a real good time. Bring your hands down to the ground. Slowly come up on your toes. Weight in the heels of the hands. Float the toes up until you find that balance. Squeezing the ankles together. Slowly lower down when you're ready. Keeping that pike nice and slow. Control until you can come down. Now that's handstands, and I know you're probably watching this video being like, she said what? I said correctly.